everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today doing the what's next on Roger Gutierrez, the WBA regular champion at 130 pounds, super featherweight, following probably his career best win, the rematch victory over Rene Alvarado, actually their rubber match, as he left no doubt that he was the better man, scoring a hard-fought but convincing 12-round unanimous decision over Alvarado. They remember back in 2017, they fought their first time. Alvarado pretty much dominated him, stopped him in the 7th round. Then they rematched in January of this year, where Gutierrez put Alvarado down 3 times, and once in the 12th round, the third knockdown in the 12th round spelled the difference in the fight. Gutierrez walked away with a 113-112 victory on all 3 scorecards, which means that the judges, with the 3 knockdowns, the judges had, without the 3 knockdowns, they would have had Alvarado winning 115-113. But with that third knockdown in the 12th round of the rematch, that fight would have been a draw if Gutierrez didn't score that knockdown over Alvarado. So those 3 knockdowns were very key. It got Gutierrez the victory and gave him the title back in January. Well, that was a fight of the year candidate. So heading into this third fight, many people felt it was going to be another slugfest. It was going to be a really good fight, but Gutierrez fought smart. He used his height, he used his reach on Alvarado, and he boxed more, made it more of a science in there, the sweet science that we call it. And he walked away with a clean 12-round unanimous decision and settled their rivalry in the third fight, and is now the WBA regular champion without question. We don't know what's going to happen next with the WBA consolidating all their belts right now. We don't know if they're going to allow him to stay the regular champ or if he's going to be the only champ, because Gervonta Davis is the 130-pound super champion right now, and there's been no indication on whether he's coming back down to 130 or not. So I think once he decides what he's going to do, if he goes to 135, I think they're going to make Gutierrez the only champion. But we don't know if the WBA is going to order him to fight number 1 contender Chris Colbert. There's number 2 Xavier Martinez, but then again, those guys are also with the PBC. So we got to see what goes down, but let's run through the top 10 and see what could be possible and what's next for Roger Gutierrez, the WBA regular champion. We start with number 1 undefeated WBC champion Oscar Valdez. Well, Valdez is with Top Rank, and it looks like he's got his next couple fights lined up. He's fighting Robson Canseco in September, and a victory there could possibly lead to a unification bout against Shakur Stevenson or Jamel Herring. Whoever wins that title fight in October, it will likely lead to that unification bout in the first half of next year. But we don't know for sure. So would Valdez be down to unify belts against Roger Gutierrez? I think he would in the first half of next year, but is the WBA going to mandate Gutierrez to fight somebody next? We don't know. And is Golden Boy and the PBC and Top Rank going to be willing to work together? That's another one we don't know. Number 2 is undefeated WBA super champion Gervonta Davis. Davis, I really don't see this one for a couple reasons. I think Davis is he's negotiating his next fight. We don't know who it's going to be against. We do know that Gary Russell Jr. is a possibility. But does he want to lose that much weight in between fights and come down to fight Gary Russell? He might. Gary Russell would have to move up to 130 to fight him, and it'd be a great fight, or a good matchup at least. But with the WBA consolidating all their belts, how are they going to handle this situation? That's the big question here. I'm leaning towards, if Davis moves back down to 130 for some reason, that he's probably going to do it to fight Gary Russell Jr., and he is not going to waste his time fighting Roger Gutierrez. He could, it's possible, but I don't see it happening. That's just me. Number 3 is former champ Miguel Berchelt. I'm not seeing this one. Berchelt is a top-ranked guy. He's likely going to come back and, towards the end of the year, maybe early next year, after that knockout loss to Valdez, and just kind of slowly work his way back in. I think it's a risk for him to fight Gutierrez next, so I don't see it. Number 4 is the WBO champion Jamel Herring. Herring's lined up to fight Shakur Stevenson in October. I don't think he's going to win that one, so I don't see the possibility of him and Gutierrez being, likely at all. Number 5 is Shavkat Rakhimov, the undefeated former world title challenger. Well, Rakhimov's getting another crack at the vacant IBF title soon against Kenichi Ogawa. We don't know when that's going to happen. Gutierrez could attempt to unify belts if he doesn't get ordered to defend his title against somebody else. So, possibility, it might be there. I wouldn't be surprised if these two guys, decide, hey, we're kind of both flying under the radar as champions right now. Let's try to unify. I'm going to lean towards the less likely, but I do think it is possible. Number 6, Gutierrez is number 5. Well, no, Gutierrez is number 6. I apologize. Rakhimov is number 5. Number 7 is Leo Santa Cruz. I think Santa Cruz is moving back down to 126. He still holds a belt there. They could still order him to fight somebody. If they're consolidating belts at 126, he's made it clear that he wants to try to line himself up for a showdown with Gary Russell. We don't know we really don't know for sure following that tough knockout loss he suffered against Gervonta Davis last October, but I'm leaning towards he's probably going to move back down to 126. I think 130 was a little too heavy for him anyways, so I think 126 makes more sense. So I don't see him and Gutierrez being likely. Number 8 is former IBF champion Tevin Farmer. Well, Farmer hasn't fought since a loss in January of last year to Joseph Diaz Jr. He's actually on the verge of dropping out of my top 10. He has said that he's likely moving up to lightweight in his next fight, so we'll see, but I don't think it's likely that Gutierrez and Farmer's just kind of a bad matchup, so I don't think it's likely we see that one. And then number 9 is the undefeated former featherweight champ Shakur Stevenson. Another one I'm not seeing likely. Stevenson's fighting for the WBO title in October, and he's likely going to want to line himself up for a showdown with Oscar Valdez if he's the WBC champion still after that. But if not, I wouldn't be surprised if Top Rank offered a lot of money for Gutierrez to come over and try to unify belts against Stevenson. I wouldn't completely rule that out, as a possibility. But right now I'm leaning towards the less likely. And then number 10 is a 4th fight with Rene Alvarado, which I just don't see it happening. I think Gutierrez is going to look at that as why do I need that fight right now? I don't. So less likely on that one. I think Gutierrez, his best chance at fighting a top 10 guy next is going to be to see, is going to be if he gets ordered to fight like Gervonta Davis, somebody like that. But if not, he might get ordered to fight Chris Colbert. He might have to fight Xavier Martinez. It's kind of up in the air. I don't expect that he's going to return in 2021. I think more like the first 3 months of 22. And I think we're gonna see the smoke settle on some of these title fights that are taking place, because we had all 3 of the other world titles are gonna go on the line. I think he's gonna wait and see what the WBA decides to do with their title consolidation. So that's it. That's what's next on the reigning WBA regular champion, Roger Gutierrez, following his rubber match victory over Rene Alvarado to retain the title. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.